And welcome back to the Hot Lap. We are talking make or break, at least DC's talking, make or break season for Alex Albon and why this season could be the most important season in Alex Albon's Formula One career. So DC has come out and he's saying he fears the 2025 F1 season is going to be make or break for the 104 race driver. Now, initially, when I first saw the headline, I don't know whether it was clickbait. I thought, Lewis Hamilton, did he talk about Lewis Hamilton? I forgot how many wins he had. But he said it's going to be telling. So let's get into this article. It rambles on a bit about the 2025 season, about the attention being on Lewis Hamilton, etc. And the McLaren drivers not really having a number one, but Red Bull having a number one. And I'm going to breathe at some point because we're finally here. So David Coulthard, he does fear it's going to be a make or break season for Alexander Albon in 2025. Now, as we know, since joining Williams, Albon and Williams united in 2022, he's pretty much exceeded expectations. Is it because, though, the Williams wasn't the best car in the world? And Alex Albon, by driving very well, and he is a very solid driver, if you believe the people around him, he, was flattered by the fact that there was not much pressure on him, and the Williams everyone thought was a rubbish car, and he did quite well, or was he very good? Well, to be fair, he dominated Nicholas Latifi and Logan Sargent as teammates. But, yeah, that's the thing, the dreaded B word. But, when it came to Colapinto, he looked, I don't want to say average, he looked almost a bit troubled though, didn't he? And the question there lies, is Alexander Albon as good as we all hoped and thought he was? So let's talk about Colapinto, the Argentine who was instantly on the pace of Albon as he struggled to cope with the pressure from the 21-year-old. It did rattle him. Now, with the proven race winner in Carlos Sainz alongside him, DC Coulthard, he fears it could be a make or break year for the 28-year-old, as in Alex Albon. So he said, I think Carlos is mature enough in his career to exploit the Williams opportunity. He said, Williams, there's just a feeling of growth in that team. And I guess he's kind of right. It does feel like a team on the rise. Since James Vowles has been there, he's been very honest with us. He's now arguably one of the most popular team bosses. When you just heard the cheers at F175. And he said, I think Alex has been great at being a benchmark in terms of performance for them. And Carlos, said DC, Carlos will be a maturity and experience from a current high-performing Formula One team. So he's the biggest challenge that Alex Albon has had since really Max Verstappen. He said Alex had a taste of that at Red Bull, but that was a few years ago. I always kind of gauge, if the two drivers walk into the room, where do people gravitate to? And he said, and right now, they're probably, this is a bit harsh, but he said right now they'll probably gravitate towards Carlos because he's got more experience. That's not to take anything away from Alex at all, but I think that's going to be one of the most fascinating driver pairings to watch, and I think it absolutely will. Along with, obviously, the high end, you've got Hamilton, Leclerc, but this one is going to be fascinating to see whether Alex Albon rises to the challenge. It kind of feels that the media and a lot of other people have not written off Alex Albon's chances, but it kind of feels like they are pretty much going, Carlos Sainz, yeah, he's going to beat Alex Albon. Alex Albon doesn't really have much of a chance. Alex Albon's going to be the number 2 in that team. Now, because Coulthard carries on away from the headline, a spotlight of, they may battle for victory, of not battling for victories and not for the championship. It's going to be really telling to see, DC said. It could make or break Alex's future if Carlos was to dominate him. That I completely agree. Now, if he's a couple of tenths behind Carlos but loses to Carlos, I think that's absolutely fine. And it's a very similar situation, for example, at Ferrari in relation to Leclerc and Hamilton. If Leclerc dominates Hamilton, significantly, is that the beginning of the end of Hamilton? Possibly. If Hamilton, at worst, is within a couple of tenths of him and beats him in a few races, etc., I think he's going to be fine. So the same with Alexander Albon. And this is a bit, if Alexander Albon doesn't beat Carlos Sainz, I do not think it's going to be the end of the world. But if Carlos Sainz absolutely dominates him, the way Alex Albon dominated both Logan Sargent and Nicholas Latifi, people are going to be asking serious questions about Alexander Albon. Now, I don't think that's going to happen I think it's going to be a lot closer than people think it is. Yes, Carlos Sainz going in may have the edge. The advantage Alexander Albon has, he knows the team. That's a significant advantage. But that can be overrun very quickly with some really good early results from Carlos Sainz. But Coulthard went on to say, I don't think he will, but if he did, that would obviously be a big value away from Alex. He's talking about, Carlos Sainz dominated him, that he's built up over the last couple of years. And what Alpine insiders are saying about the Williams pace heading into 2025, well, there we go. That's another one entirely. But I do think that's really telling. And I do think the Williams pace is really telling. Harry Benjamin thinks Albon will be under pressure from Sainz in 25. He faces his toughest challenge yet at Williams, and it could spell bad news for his career if he's convincingly beaten. I don't think he's going to be convincingly beaten, though. Jaime Alguersuari feels Albon is on borrowed time. This is what I mean. Everyone's writing him off, kind of like everyone's writing off Jack Doohan straight away. So he said, with the team's progression, this is Jaime Alguersuari's thoughts, and future plans, they cannot afford to take one driver lagging behind like Latifi and Sargent were. Now, you can't compare Alexander Albon to Latifi and Sargent. That's just really, really cruel. The general feeling after pre-season testing in Bahrain, though, is that Williams are competing to be the 5th fastest team in with Alpine, and I think that's really important. Palmer sees Williams as an outsider for podiums, what we said in our preview, and even in Australia. You need a crazy race, but they're there. All it takes is for like a big crash at the first corner. There is potential rain forecast for Australia, and they could be there. So Palmer, in 2025, he said Albon grabbed a double podium in Sao Paulo last year, and that feat cannot be ruled out this season, no, it cannot. Sainz topped the timesheets on day 2 in Bahrain to show a clear sign of improvement from Williams, but he said Alpine were very dismissive about their rivals, claiming it was just for the sponsors. I don't think James Vowles would do that with Williams, because he's been really, really honest. And I get Alpine potentially saying that, maybe that, it's just for the sponsors. That's why. I don't think James Vowles would do that. He's really, really honest. He's been really honest with the media, with everyone, saying this is our building years for Williams. We are going to basically suck for the next few years. And 2026 is going to be the year where we're going to show everyone, obviously not win titles, but show that big improvement. And I certainly hope he does. But anyway, I digress. If you have made it to the end, please give us a subscribe. You just watching this is more than enough for us, if I'm honest. But if you want to do that bit extra, make sure you subscribe. Hit that notification button. You do not want to miss a video. And want to do a bit more, hit that like button. Comment below. Let us know what you think. Will Alexander Albon be destroyed by Carlos Sainz? But until then, thank you for watching. See you next time. But above all else, stay safe.